My name is Morten Hansen. I am a professor at UC Berkeley, and about 13 years ago, I wrote an article in Harvard Business Review called Introducing T-Shaped Management, and it was based upon an empirical research project on large global companies. And we investigated what are the effective managers that are needed in global companies, and we came to this idea of T-shaped that that was in the air from IBM, from IDEO, McKinsey, and others have been using that term. So I've been at it for a while, and we've done a bunch of research afterwards, and I published a book called Collaboration. There's a chapter on T-shaped management in it, and I have introduced this to hundreds of companies over time. So if you think about the notion of T-shaped and how it applies to large global companies, how does that work? Let me start with a little case study. This is by Tom DeLonge and Diane Burton, two professors at Harvard Business School, and it's used extensively in their leadership development programs. This is about a person called Rob Parson. He is manager and investment banker at Morgan Stanley, and he's offered promotion to the coveted job of a senior managing director. And the question in the case is, if you were his boss, would you promote him? And here's Rob's profile. He is a terrific, excellent individual contributor. This is a person who is just a rainmaker. He comes in over budget, he is great at sales, clients love him, he has built this new business with his team, and everything is fantastic. And if that is the only thing you're going to look at, you would promote him. The problem with Rob is that if you look at another dimension, he is terrible at collaboration. He lacks team player skills, he is abusive, he is abrasive, he's all kinds of bad things. And so the case, I label this guy a lone star. He's a star in one respect, but it's about him and it's about his unit and not much else. So the question then is, should you promote him? To make it more interesting, John Mack, the CEO of Morgan Stanley 2 years before, had introduced a system, a set of thinking, like IDEO, of how you can collaborate across the company and not just developing your own business. So that's the problem in the case. Now, if you look at some of the other profiles in this matrix here, so if you have the opposite of Rob, which I call a butterfly, they love collaboration. They love walking around between different committees and task forces and geographies in a company, and they're all over the company, but they don't have the sharp focus on the unit performance that Rob does. So they are the opposite. And then we have people who can do neither. They're the laggards. And then we have, at the top right, are the T-shaped managers, because they deliver two kinds of performances. There's the individual combined with the horizontal. And so if you think about T-shaped management in business, in these large companies, are managers who are able to do these two things simultaneously. That is clearly a very difficult job. Now, so that means seek input from others to improve your own work. It means give to others, so to have them develop their work and perform better, even though you don't get immediate credit for that. And it also means engaging in joint collaboration. Those are the three activities. The question is, what does it take to do this in a large global company? And Tim and Nick mentioned a few of this already. First, you have to have the attitude. The attitude is not that I'm I-shaped. I need to do like what Rob thought was a job, was to just perform great himself. But you need to have the attitude that your job is really two things. It's your vertical stroke and it's a horizontal stroke. And then you need to have, as Tim mentioned, empathy, to put yourself in the shoes of others, understand their agenda and contribute to those agendas. And then you need to have the skill set. You need to have the mastery of your own department and your own business unit and your own function. And then you also need to know sufficient amount across the T. And we've been talking about the need for those skills. So if you are an R&D in a company, you need to know enough about the marketing, sales, and the customer concerns in other departments of that particular global company. And then I will add one more thing that is important, particularly in these large global companies, and that is to have a network that spans the company. Research shows that a lot of managers have dense network within their own unit or their own geography and their own function, but very few have great boundary spanning networks across the company. So they become by themselves an island in terms of their network. So you need to have all of those, and that of course is difficult. So how can we then develop this? Cultivate these managers in large companies? What do you have to do? Many things, of course. You can do job rotation, you can do a bunch of things. But one very important thing that is hindering a lot of companies is that they have an incentive system, a performance evaluation system that is not set up to promote this. So what you need here is to have individual effectiveness scores, that you have some kind of accountability for your own individual job, and collaborative. You need to have a balance between the two, and that needs to be implemented across the performance system. So bonus and pay needs to be in both dimensions. Promotion, that's the Rob Parson case. You know, are you going to promote that Lone Star or are you not? For the record, he did not get promoted. Big deal. He changed his behaviors, and the next year he got promoted. Let go. Are you going to manage out people who are Lone Stars? That's a very tough decision for managers, because if you get rid of the Lone Stars, you are actually taking a hit. They do perform in one dimension. And then recruitment, to recruit people into the company that are T-shaped. And that is difficult because it is easier to assess somebody I-shaped. You can look at the qualifications. But T-shaped, their collaborative capacity, as you mentioned, Tim, is very difficult. So how do you actually hire for that? Now, most companies, large companies that I have studied, are skewed toward the individual effectiveness. Stephen Kerr, the Chief Learning Officer, former Chief Learning Officer of General Electric, he had a fantastic article with a great title that says, "Rewarding A, hoping for B." Rewarding individual work, I'm hoping for collaboration, okay? Hope is not a plan, but that is what you're seeing. So individual effectiveness, you're getting Lone Stars, right? It's not a big, a secrecy that you do get that. Now, if you promote collaborative effectiveness and your performance system is skewed that direction, what are you getting? Butterflies, right? The people who are very good at collaboration. You need to be in the middle here. And very few companies are doing that well. So here's the puzzle. I'll conclude with this puzzle. In my research of looking at large global companies, what you're seeing is that collaboration has become, from about 15 years ago to today, has risen to the top of a CEO agenda. It has become extremely important. I think exactly what you talked about in IBM. Yet, the implementation of T-shaped management as a concept is lagging. And I'm not quite sure why. And one thing I'm wondering about, if you look in the business community, the term T-shaped has not caught on over the last 15 years. And I say that with a degree of sadness because I wrote an article with that title, 13 years ago. But it hasn't. And so the term itself is important. If you look at the kind of terminology in business community that catches on, re-engineering, disruptive innovation, balanced scorecard, it matters. So the question is, do we have the right term? I am deeply convinced that the concept behind it is extremely important in business and in large global companies. That I'm convinced of. But the question is, do we have the right term? And I'm not sure we do. And if somebody has a better term, that would be great. This is something we need to consider, because having the term matters if we're going to distribute this across the business community. Thank you.